One of the fastest ways to lose credibility in a thesis defense isn't saying, "I don't know." It's pretending to know the answer when I actually don't have the answer. Talking and rambling for 30 seconds when the examiner already knows that I don't have the answer, that's not going to help. Experienced examiners recognize bluffing almost immediately. And once that happens, my credibility is going to drop. But the good news here is this: not knowing the answer to a question is not a problem in and of itself. What matters is how we handle that moment. In this video, I will show you what examiners are actually looking for when a student doesn't know the answer, and how handling it calmly and strategically can actually work in your favor. First, let me give you this reassurance. Most students walk into a thesis defense thinking the goal is that I have to show that I know everything. Well, that's not possible, and that's also not what examiners are looking for. Professors understand that every research study has limits. They know that uncertainty is part of research, and they can certainly appreciate that nobody, no researchers or professors or scientists, can answer every possible question. You are not ChatGPT. You don't have an answer at all times for everything. So not knowing an answer doesn't automatically hurt you. What matters is how we handle that uncertain moment. That's what examiners pay real attention to. Let's talk about what to do when we don't know the answer to a question, starting with reactions that almost always work against you. The first thing that you don't want to do is bluffing. By bluffing, I mean talking fast, using vague academic language, dropping jargons, and hoping it all sounds convincing. Basically, pretending to know the answer when you don't. That's very risky. Experienced examiners recognize bluffing almost immediately, and once they sense that you are just filling the space and talking nonsense, your credibility drops, and that can be hard to recover from. So don't bluff. Now here's an important clarification. Bluffing is not the same as thinking out loud. Sometimes, when you talk through a question carefully, you actually reason your way towards the answer. That's normal. We often think through language, so by talking about it, we actually reason and think through the issue. Examiners understand that. The problem is not reasoning out loud in real time. The problem is pretending certainty when there is none. Bluffing tries to hide that uncertainty. Reasoning and honest thinking out loud actually acknowledges that uncertainty. So there is a difference. I want to clarify that. Now, the second thing that is likely unhelpful is panicking and over-apologizing, saying things like, "Oh, I really should have known this. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize." Look, nervousness is normal, but excessive self-blame and apologies shift attention away from your research competence and towards your insecurity, and that's not helpful. Third is becoming very defensive. You push back hard at the question, explicitly say that the question is unfair or irrelevant. Look, even if the question is a bit strange, reacting defensively usually works against you. It signals poor judgment under pressure, and it draws attention away from the substance of your work. Yes, I know this is a thesis defense, but really we are there more to explain, motivate, and justify. We don't need to be overly defensive about everything. So, what should we do? What do examiners actually want? And I say this from experience, what examiners want to see is calibrated honesty. A calm, honest, and structured response that shows you know what you don't know. In other words, you know what the scope of your research is, what's inside and outside that border, you know what methodological limitations your study has, and that you are not afraid to acknowledge these limitations and uncertainties. That's academic maturity. So how do we operationalize this? Here's what I would recommend for when you feel like you genuinely don't know the answer to a question. Before jumping straight to say, "I don't know," pause for a moment, because very often the problem is not that you truly don't know the answer. It's just that the answer, which you actually know, isn't coming to you in that moment. I have had this happen many times. During a defense or a hearing, I am confronted with a question that I feel like I don't have the answer to, but as soon as the hearing or the defense is finished, I'm like, "Oh, I could have mentioned this," or "I should have said that." That's a clear sign that I knew the answer. I had the answer. I had many answers that I could have given. It's just that on the spot, At that time, for whatever reason, the answer did not surface. The issue is not a lack of knowledge, it's access to that knowledge in that moment. So there are 3 simple things you should do first before saying you don't know the answer. First, ask for clarification. You can say something like, could you please clarify what you mean by this or that? Are you asking about this or that? Just ask for a little bit of extra clarification or ask for the question to be slightly rephrased. Second, you anchor the question to your thesis. For example, you could say something like, are you referring to this or that chapter where I discussed this or that? Or is this about the assumptions behind the model on page XYZ? When you ask the questioner to anchor their question to a specific part of your thesis, this does 2 things at once. It helps you understand the question more precisely, and it signals that you know your own work. Third, give yourself a brief moment to think. It is completely acceptable to say, let me think about this for just a second here. A short pause is fine. A brief moment of silence is much better than 20 seconds of panicked nonsense talking. Now, if after doing all these 3 things, you still feel like you don't have a precise answer, that's still okay. This is where a structured response matters. Here is the framework that I would recommend. I call it Acknowledgement-Boundary-Direction. Let me break it down for you. Step 1, acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this is a tricky, challenging question. You might say something like, that's a good question, I don't have a very precise answer. Or, that's a real interesting and challenging question because I haven't examined that aspect in great detail. Say it calmly, no drama. You are not confessing failure, you are being accurate and honest. Step 2, explain and define the boundary. For example, you could say something like, well, I would argue that this falls rather outside the scope of this study. Or, I considered this. It wasn't quite feasible due to time and data collection constraints. Something like this shows that you are aware that your study has deliberate limits and scope. Step 3, indicate direction. After clarifying the boundary and the scope, you can then add the general direction concerning what the question is asking. You could say something like, based on what we know from the literature that was reviewed as part of this study, I would expect this or that. But of course, this would require further empirical investigation by future research. Something like that. With this formula or framework, we acknowledge that this is a difficult, challenging question, we explain the scope or the boundary, and then we offer a reasoned response as to what we expect as a general direction in answer to the question. This way, I'm being honest, I offer an explanation or justification, and I show that I am not stuck. Doing this would demonstrate, even when confronted with a really difficult question, I'm still thinking and reasoning. So consider trying this the next time you get a question that you feel like you don't know the answer to, whether it's in a thesis defense or at a hearing or at the end of some kind of a presentation. Ask for clarification, try to anchor the question to the written work, take a moment to think. And if all that still does not help, use the Acknowledgement-Boundary-Direction framework. See if that helps you in practice. Because remember, when it comes to thesis defense, it's not about showing that you know everything off the top of your head. It's about showing that you can reason and think under pressure. Good luck with your defense. Try and enjoy it. As always, I invite you to leave your thoughts and comments down below. Thanks for watching this Ranywayz random video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.